In this video, I am going to show you our route, 7 days drive through Iceland. I will show you day by day. The route we asked for, and I will also leave it with you in the description of the video so that you can save the points that interest you in your trip. Do we decide to paint a mysterious cross eclipse? 4x4 as it gives you the option to go out on the roads. Our idea was to visit the Manala, at least get closer. What happens is that the roads at that time, October, when the trip ended, were cut. These are the points we were interested in visiting. As you can see, most of them are in the south. And these are marked, are the ones we were really able to visit. So the vast majority, the first day we arrived at the airport at 1 o'clock in the evening. So we decided to stay at the Aurora Hotel, which is right next to the airport, to spend that first night. And the next morning I took the car and really started the trip. You have to keep in mind that this hotel is quite expensive. It cost us 164 euros per night, but as of the date of making this video in August, September, one night is around 350. So keep in mind, which is an expensive price, and that maybe you can take the car upon arrival at the airport, because I believe it is in 24 hours, and or go to your destination. Or even rest in the car for the next day to start. As I said, the next day, we had breakfast early, and after taking the car, we leave for our first stop, which is the capital, Tingvellir. EH has a population of about 120,000, so too many. It may seem more like a town than the capital of a country, and you will be able to walk through it without much problem. The cathedral, although it really is a church, is the tallest building in the country at 75 meters, and also a very characteristically shaped building. As you can see, admission is free of charge. And from there, we can go down this street, a unpronounceable name, with a multitude of tents up to the Hverageroi, which is the opera building, where we have a promenade that we can walk both to the left as on the right. After strolling through the capital, we head east along Ring Road, which is the main road to the village of Selfoss, approximately 1 hour's drive away, where we made a stop at this supermarket, which is one of the cheapest to make a purchase. And from there, continue for 5 minutes to Hverageroi, where we had our first accommodation for the next few weeks. 3 nights. Bakki is a coastal village of about 550 and very quiet, and where practically the largest building in town is the apartment building you are viewing here, where we stayed, which is nowhere away, a few meters from the sea. So if you get up, you can go out and also walk next to the breakwater from end to end of the village. That afternoon, we took the opportunity to rest, take a stroll through town, and wait for the next day. The second day is dedicated to tour the famous Golden Circle, which is a simple route where to see the most important natural attractions in Iceland in a single day. First, we go up to the Tingvellir National Park. There are several parking lots, and please note that you have to pay before leaving, because although there is no barrier, there are cameras and will pass you the bill when you return the car if you have not paid. This is where the tectonic plates of North America are separated, and the Eurasian plate, and is one of the few places in the world where these failures can be appreciated above sea level. And it is also the place where the world's first parliament was formed in the year 1930, that has already reigned since then. After walking along these trails, we have, throughout the park, we went to the Gulfoss waterfall, which is about 45 minutes away. From this parking lot, there are many 4x4 excursions in these this sort of transformers inward to the areas where it will no longer be possible to pass by car. So if you are interested, you can search for excursions, because although we did not have any, for the high price they have to be amazing. Going to the waterfall, we have to take this path you are seeing, where with a few meters we can already appreciate it. Waterfall that has a double jump. The first one in sight is the smallest one of 11 meters. And then there is a 20 meters high drop, where apart from the amount of water that falls, the roar that makes so much water is surprising, falling at the same time. If we continue the trail a little further up, we can approach the first waterfall. Of course, it is advisable to wear a raincoat, especially if it is windy, because there is plenty of water in suspension, and if you're not going to end up soaking wet. Returning on the same road, 10 minutes away, we find the Geysir geothermal area, which is considered the world's first female geyser, where we have many smoking pools, although the most spectacular are the geysers. We have several trails where we can climb and see the valleys on both sides. The most important geyser is Geysir, but he's 13 years asleep. What happens is that we do have his little brother, Stroka. Yeah, every little bit, it erupts. Depending on the time, there may be between 40 meters high, sometimes a little less. And from here we descend to what would be the last visit in the morning, the Kerid. It's a volcanic that formed only 6,500 years ago, which makes it a young formation, so the oval shape of the remains very visible. It is 55 meters deep, and we can make a route around or go down a suitable trail to the lake, which has been formed with turquoise water. The entrance costs about €3, and the parking lot is right next to the entrance. This concludes the route of the Golden Circle. You can see it in no hurry because you did this one morning. So with all the calm in the world, you can see it in the whole day. And after a break and eat, we continue in the afternoon. That afternoon, after resting, we went to the famous Blue Lagoon, one of the most touristic places in the country. Although it may seem that this place is natural, it's not so. It was built in 1976 to discharge water from the geothermal power plant, which is just a few meters away. In fact, from the pools themselves, you will see them. It is acyclic rich water that accumulates in the bed, formed the pools by not allowing the water to seep into the volcanic terrain. In 1987 it opened as a spa, and a few years later it became managed, under the name of Blue Lago. The water temperature is constant, at about 40 degrees, and with the entrance fee includes a drink and a face mask, what makes it even more peculiar to be in this environment. Images of people with painted faces. It is very close to the airport. So many people take advantage of the day, of arrival and departure to make their visit. However, please note that you can book in advance because there are days when tickets are sold out, even though the space is so large that we did not notice such an agglomeration at any time. On the third day, we went for a walk to the village of Selfoss. If you're going to tour southern Iceland, you will stop by as Larry Road crosses town across the bridge. For starters, it can be a good place to stop for a hot dog and cross the street for a walk, by the most touristic area of the town, where if it is not too cold, you can also have an ice cream. I also recommend you to go to the church. From there, you have a path next to the riverbed from where to take a walk. And if you cross the bridge, it extends over a more wooded area. This town, we had it as a second option to stay in this area, although for the price we liked the Bakki better, since I was only 10 minutes away. From there we approached the mouth of the Olfusa river. It is a place that we did not see recommended in any guidebook, but the previous afternoon we had stopped by to go to the Blue Lagoon, and we approached the staff and take a closer look. From here we continued to this other town, where there are several zones of geothermal activity, with plenty of walking trails, and we were surprised that there was absolutely no one else in that area. In all the time we spent there, that we were able to bring you closer as well. To another area I have glued next to the village, where there is a small bathing area in geothermal waters. In the same river bed, we continue the route back to the coast. On the way to Blue Lagoon, we saw a lighthouse, and after Google it, we decided to go closer to explore that area. Incidentally, we took advantage of the fact that we had rented 1444. We turned around when the terrain became complicated, and we continued westward. But before that, we were able to record these images with the drone. following along the road towards the Blur. We have this kind of old Nasin which runs parallel to the main road, in which we can go slowly and stop without problems, because there is no traffic, to take pictures in these volcanic lava formations that are covered by moss, and that, according to the season of the year, make quite striking colors. On the fourth day, we changed accommodations. We headed about 130 kilometers east to the Vik area. But along this route, we have several very interesting stops that you can't miss. 第一站 Geysir。 从路上我们可以看到大瀑布60米高。请注意，酒店提供付费停车位，你必须把你的票留在仪表板上的蓝色区域风格，价格约为6欧元，全天有效，并通过信用卡在停车计时器中支付，这是值得的。当然，顺着小路走，你可以从瀑布下面穿过进去散步。当然，建议你穿全身雨衣和水靴。当你完成后，别忘了沿着小路走，大约500米，在那里你会发现另一个隐藏的瀑布。你需要更多的地方，水衣服。我通过编辑视频学到的是，在晚上，瀑布和小径被照亮，所以太阳下山的时候顺便过来是个不错的选择。We continue our journey eastward, and about 25 minutes away, we find a path that leads us towards the mountain. The road becomes the way, although any car can arrive, and we arrive at a parking lot where there seems to be nothing more interesting. We can continue walking through the valley. In an upward direction, approximately 1 kilometer, we are going to reach the oldest pool in Iceland. In 1923, it is fed with hot water. Although the water temperature when we went was rather temperate, about 20 degrees, and we prefer to leave the experience only to a little more than 10 kilometers away. We find our next destination, the Hverageroi, 62 meters high and almost 30 meters wide. We can get as close down as we want, as we have a very wide dry area to walk through, or climb some stairs that take us to the upper area, where, from if you look to the left, you will be able to distinguish the following destination. Continuing along the ring road, you will find a parking lot right next to the road. In theory, it is mobile payment. From there, we have a 3.5 kilometers one-way route, plus the return in absolute to this US Army aircraft, which crashed in 1973. Although the road is perfectly marked, it has no loss, that's for sure. Keep the meteorology in mind. There is also the 20 euros option for the bus ride, but I think part of the charm of this place is to do this tour on foot, where you feel as if you were walking on another planet. And after spending most of the day on this tour, we arrived at our destination. Inside these buildings, we have small apartments, with the positive point of being able to leave the car right at the door, and also, in our case, to be able to charge the battery and have about 30 kilometers of free autonomy every day. That at the price of gasoline in Iceland, it is appreciated. On the fifth day, we got up with some rain and quite wind, although the latter is typical in this area of the island. First, we approached the Riensfalla lookout point. From which we can take a walk and see into the distance, the beach we will visit later. On the right, we have small scales, and little beyond begins the endless beach, where in a straight line we would find the crashed plane. And we could continue to cover 100 kilometers of black sand beach, with the only obstacle of some mouth in a small harbor. From here, we return to Ring Road to skirt this lagoon in the direction of Vik, and reach one of the most famous and dangerous beaches in the world, the beach of Rinistar. From the entrance, several panels warn us that of the risk of approaching the sea on this beach. And never turn your back on the sea, even on quiet days, by the formation of what they call snake waves. Sudden waves that reach much greater distance in the sand, and can drag you into the icy waters in any carelessness. So if you're stepping on wet sand, you probably shouldn't be there. From the beach you can see the famous Bringur, famous for their game of Trorossos. Legend has it that they are trolls who rescued a wrecked ship, but upon reaching the shore, dawn reached them and they were turned to stone forever. Another point not to be missed are the basalt columns. You will find them by walking a few meters to the left. Once you have entered the beach, you will be able to approach these geometrically shaped rocks that impress much more in person than in videos, because they are much larger than they may look in the images. Later we drove a few miles west along Rim Road to approach the Sol and Mayokul, one of the glaciers tongues. Well, I leave you written. This tongue of the glacier is 11 kilometers long, and you can get there from the parking lot along a 1 kilometer trail in about 15 kilometers. 20 minutes walking along a simple path. From the end of the road you can reach the same ice, even though you should only go near the glacier, hiring a guided tour, as it is very dangerous from this area. You will have the big icebergs just a few meters away that have been detaching from the glacier, and that float in the lagoon formed at their feet. That night, by the way, we were lucky enough to see aurora, but I recommend you to download an application to know the prediction of this phenomena and the hour of most activity to set an alarm for you. Take the coat and go out into the street to see if you are lucky. On the 6th day, we covered a total of more than 400 kilometers, since from the Vik area we were bordering the glacier to the east. On the way we encountered this waterfall. We did not have it marked on the map, but logically we stopped to see it. We continue the route along the ring road, and if you have a clear day, you will have a very strange feeling, since you will be seeing the snowy mountain in the background. Too many kilometers, and you will have the strange feeling that as you move forward, the mountain also advances so that you never arrive. In Spain, it is difficult to find a place so flat and with the visibility so many kilometers away to have this optical effect. In fact, I was thinking that was 1/1 mountain we would be skirting, and our destiny would seem much later. But no, it turns out that this was our destiny. The Jökulsá lake that lies beneath this mountain, where gigantic icebergs accumulate, detached from Europe's largest glacier. In this area you have several parking lots from where you will be able to stop by the roadside and approach inward where the lake would be, and according to the time of year you will have more or less pieces of ice floating around. And later you will be able to continue to the bridge that crosses the mouth to the sea, where there is another parking lot, and you will be able to approach the Diamond Beach, a beach where the ice that has flowed into the sea ends at the shore and ends with this spectacular color. Returning along the ring road to the west, we make a stop to visit this canyon from the parking lot. The route is just over 2 kilometers long, bordering the canyon that reaches 100 meters depth. The trail is well marked at the edge of the canyon until you reach the top, where there is a viewpoint that allows you to overlook the cliff. From there we return to the apartment and ended the day. On the 7th day, we returned to the airport, and as our flight departed around 5 p.m., we take the opportunity to leave early. Spend another time in the morning in Reykjavik before returning to the airport. Return the car and take the plane. In total, it has been about 1,600 kilometers in 7 days. Is it possible to go around the island in that time? Maybe so, but I think you would have to do a lot of driving hours and avoid some stops to do so. And it would still be stressful. So we prefer to tour the southern area calmly and see it all more gently. If you've come this far, I hope it helps. Any questions? Leave it in the comments and I will answer you in case I can help. And don't forget to like and subscribe. It doesn't cost anything and helps a lot. See you in the next video. Until the next.